News Roundup, August 2009, 4th edition, Part 2. News in brief. The authors of one paper examined the hypothesis that the raphe might be an important component of the pathology of Alzheimer's disease. Simic et al., 2009. Further evidence for a link between frontotemporal dementia and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, has been found in a post-mortem study where the fused-in sarcoma protein, associated with ALS, was found in the neuronal inclusions in 15 people with frontotemporal dementia. Newman et al., 2009. An analysis of the data from the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative provides further support for the hypothesis that conversion from mild cognitive impairment to Alzheimer's disease is strongly influenced by medial temporal lobe volume and particularly the volume of the hippocampus. Risacher et al., 2009. A small study involving 34 people without evidence of cognitive impairment at post-mortem found a significant correlation between performance on a smell test, the brief smell identification test, and Alzheimer's disease pathology. Wilson et al., 2009. The smell test, however, can be influenced by smoking. Using an analysis of EEG data from patients with frontotemporal lobe degeneration and Alzheimer's disease, a team has found further evidence that in Alzheimer's disease there is increasing disconnection between areas in the brain. However, they found that communication between areas became more structured in people with FTLD. The findings are relevant in terms of a disconnection hypothesis which maintains that in Alzheimer's disease there is a loss of function resulting from impaired communication between brain regions. A research team in Germany have provided evidence of ferritin in neurons in Parkinson's disease. Iron metabolism has been implicated in the disease process and previous research has identified the ferritin in the glial support cells. See also this article in which the diamond light source synchrotron is being used to examine iron distribution in Parkinson's disease. An Israeli study has provided preliminary evidence for the viability of mesenchymal stem cells, which means there is no need for embryonic cells in a model of Huntington's disease. By labeling the cells with iron particles, they were able to follow their progress using magnetic resonance imaging and observe them migrating to their destination. It will be interesting to see further use of this neuroimaging technique as well as the work with stem cells. In a study looking at the MECP2 gene, methyl CpG binding protein 2, a mutation in this gene results in Rett syndrome, a developmental disorder associated with seizures and cognitive impairment. The research team looked at the gene and the surrounding DNA in a total of 940 people who were healthy or who had developed dementia or psychosis. They found that one specific allele of MECP2 was associated with a number of changes in the structure in the brain, including a reduction in the surface area. They also found that variations in the surrounding region were associated with structural changes in the brain, and this gene region may turn out to have an important developmental role. In a small, N=48, observational study of patients with breast and prostate cancer, there was found to be a significant correlation between radiotherapy-associated fatigue and markers of cytokine activity, and it will be interesting to see further studies in this area. In a small study, N=62, smokers were found to have a significantly reduced blood supply to the tongue and smaller, flatter fungiform papillae, taste buds. This is also consistent with other research that shows an impaired sense of smell in smokers. See appendix in this article. In another study, researchers found that a phenomenon known as perceptual rivalry occurs with the sense of smell. They presented subjects with two competing smells, one for each nostril, and the subjects noted an alternation between the experienced smells. Such competition is noted in other sensory systems such as the visual system. An American study has provided evidence that alcohol adverts on cable television have a significant correlation with the likelihood of teenager viewing of the cable TV. They found that wine adverts were inversely correlated with an increasing percentage of teenage viewers in the audience, but that there was a significant linear correlation with spirits, low-alcohol alcopop drinks and beers. This is interesting in relation to older studies which show that teenagers with media resistance skills in another American study were less likely to drink alcohol. Earlier this year, an Australian study provided evidence that adolescents there were seeing more alcohol-related adverts, and the authors recommended a move towards regulation of adverts. In a study that compared people who spoke 2 languages with those speaking just one, researchers found that when reading cognate words, that is words that are similar in both languages, the bilingual subjects took less time to read these words, suggesting that learning a second language influenced the way the primary language is processed. A diffuse tensor imaging study, N equals 20, provided evidence of structural abnormalities in the arcuate fasciculus in people who are tone deaf. Half of the subjects were tone deaf. The researchers found that they could not identify the arcuate fasciculus in the right hemisphere. The arcuate fasciculus is a connection between the frontal and temporal lobes. A recent study has demonstrated that ultrasound guided with the aid of magnetic resonance imaging was successfully in ablating tissue in the thalamus in people with neuropathic pain, and it will be interesting to follow subsequent research in this area. There has also been some recent research on Twitter that shows that just over 40% of the postings contain information about the minute-to-minute actions of the Twitterers, although just under 40% of postings were conversational. CNN have some discussion about this and also a look at social media platforms in general, and for those interested there is a link below. References: Brynmore Lloyd Evans, Mike Slade, Dorota J. Gielska and Sonia Johnson. Residential Alternatives to Acute Psychiatric Hospital Admission, Systematic Review. The British Journal of Psychiatry. 2009. 195. 109-117. Kundakara, Maurice C., Oglia, McKeon 9W and Thomas A. Morphometric Analysis of Neuronal and Glial Cell Pathology in the Dorsolateral Frontal Cortex and Late Life Depression. The British Journal of Psychiatry. 2009. 194. 163-169. Mid-System Reach Kilometers, Boyef, de Magnan G.D., McAvoy milligrams, Seeable J.P., Stally J.K., Van Dyke C.H. 123 I5E 85,380 SPECT imaging of nicotinic receptors in Alzheimer's disease and mild cognitive impairment. J. Nuckel Med. 2009 August 18. EPUB ahead of print. Newman M., Raidmakers R., Reber S., Baker M., Kretschmer H., Mackenzie R. Brain. 2009 August 11. EPUB ahead of print. Frontotemporal lobar degeneration with FUS pathology. Researcher S.L., Psychinage, West J.D., Chanel, Fire P.R. McDonald B.C., Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, ADNI. Car Alzheimer Res. 2009 August 6, 4, 347-61. Baseline predictors of conversion from McGuy to probable AD in the ADNI cohort. Rosen R.F., Kiliax B.J., Wingo T.S., Gearing M., Duroma J., LeJ.J., Soja, Levine H. 3rd, Walker L.C. Deficient high affinity binding of Pittsburgh compound B in a case of Alzheimer's disease. Actor Neuropathol. 2009 August 19. EPUB ahead of print. Simic G., Stanik G., Mladinov M., Jovanov Milosevic N., Kostovic I., Hove PR. Neuropathol Apple Neurobio. 2009 August 4. EPUB ahead of print. Annotation: Does Alzheimer's disease begin in the brainstem? Wilson R.S., Arnold S.E., Schneiderger, Boyle Parr, Bushman as, Bennett D.A. Olfactory impairment in presymptomatic Alzheimer's disease. And then wildcard Psi. 2009 July, 1170, 730-5. Responses: If you have any comments, you can leave them on the blog below the article, or alternatively email justinmarley17@yahoo.co.uk. Disclaimer: the comments made here represent the opinions of the author and do not represent the profession or anybody/organization. The comments made here are not meant as a source of medical advice, and those seeking medical advice are advised to consult with their own doctor. For further information please visit http://theamazingworldofpsychiatry.wordpress.com/ or Google /The Amazing World of Psychiatry.